So on Kristallnacht, my 18-year-old father and grandfather, and David Teutsch's father from the Reconstructionist movement, and Rabbi Walter Jacob's father, were all put in the same bus and sent to Dachau, and actually the four of them slept next to each other on the floor. But tonight, what I want to talk about is let's go back. We say that that's now the origin of the Holocaust, but the year before that, it was the mass deportations of the Polish Jews that the 17-year-old Herschel Greenspan got so upset that he shot von Roth. That was the excuse that they used for Kristallnacht. And let's go back a little bit further. That was Himmler's Committee to Combat Homosexuality and Abortion. And let's go back one more year, 35. That's when all Jews, whether you've lived in Germany for 500 years and fought in World War I, all Jews lost citizenship and became enemy aliens living in Germany and were told to self-deport or you will be mass deported, but no one wanted you. And let's go back another year. Now we're at the time when all of the civil servants and lawyers and judges and theater people, if you weren't a Nazi loyalist, and especially if you were a Jew, you lost your job. Then we can go back to the actual large election where only a third of the German people voted for the Nazis, but where Hitler was saying, we're going to make Germany great again. And he used the big lie that the German army won World War I, and it was the Jews at home that stabbed us in the back. And then let's go even further back, because now in the 20s, you have the time when my mother's father kicked Julius Streicher in the tuchus in one of the Nuremberg street riots. And that's when you have the time of the insurrection in the Munich Putsch. So let's even go further back. And let's compare it to what was going on in America. At the end of the Civil War in America, when slaves were emancipated, there was a group that said, hey, we got to do something about this. Let's start segregation and discrimination and Jim Crow laws because we can't let this continue. Well, in Germany, it was 1871, same time, where the people said, oh my God, the Jews are now full citizens in Germany. They got all full rights. We got to do something about this. So the same racial theories, not white and Negro, but Aryan and Semite came about. And they created this thing called anti-Semitismus that said that Jews were not a religion. They're a subhuman race of vermin that have to be exterminated. And following what you're saying, I don't use that word anti-Semite. It's anachronistic, it's vague, and it's from a terrible era. But that's where it comes from. So in a different way, I could say that the roots of the Holocaust actually started all the way back then when they were trying to figure out how can we separate Jews and then how can we exterminate Jews. And my father, when I was growing up, and by the way, 11 years ago, the last time he left this house was to light the Shabbos candles before he passed away. But he would say to me, Ricky, you know, the Germans were smart people. It could happen here too. And I would always say, no, in America we have balance, checks and balances and all. But as we all say, never again, never again.